Welcome to No Human Left Behind, AI the podcast. In today's episode, we give you search and optimization in artificial intelligence.
Welcome to this deep dive, and today we're going to be looking at artificial intelligence.
Okay.
Specifically, we're going to be looking at search and optimization.
Right.
These are techniques that power all sorts of things, from game-playing AIs to self-driving cars and a lot more. You know, you submitted some excerpts from an Introduction to Artificial Intelligence course for this.
I did.
And I have to say, it's pretty mind-blowing how AI essentially thinks through solutions.
Yeah.
Just like we do, but on a much larger scale.
It is amazing.
It really is.
It's almost like it's problem solving, but it's doing it in a way that we can kind of relate to.
Yeah.
But then it just blows it up to this massive scale.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Thanks.
So when we say search in AI, we're not talking about, typing something into Google.
Right.
What exactly are we talking about here?
So it's more like, think about a chess AI.
Cool.
Looking at a chessboard.
Right.
It doesn't just make random moves.
Right.
It considers like every possible move.
Yeah. Every consequence of those moves.
Wow.
And creates this huge map of all the potential outcomes.
Oh, wow.
So that's what search is about. It's systematically going through this huge map of possibilities.
Okay.
And we call this map a search tree.
A search tree.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Yeah, so imagine like a tree
Okay.
with branches that keep splitting off.
Mm-hmm.
The starting point of the problem is like the trunk.
Okay.
And each branch represents like a choice
Okay.
or an action that the AI could take.
All right.
And then each split,
Yeah.
that represents a new state of the problem.
I see.
And the AI keeps branching out
So
until it finds a solution.
so the AI is going through all these branches,
Yeah.
but how does it know which branch to choose?
Right. So
Does it just pick randomly?
that's where we get into the difference between what we
Okay.
call uninformed
Okay.
and informed search.
All right.
Uninformed search is kind of like you're wandering through a maze,
Okay.
but you're blindfolded.
You're systematically checking every path, but it can take a really long time.
Yeah.
Like imagine an AI trying to solve a Sudoku puzzle
Okay.
by just like randomly filling in numbers until it gets it right.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
That's uninformed search.
that doesn't sound very efficient, especially for like complex problems.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So that's why we have informed search,
Okay.
which uses something called heuristics.
Heuristics.
Yeah, it's like a guess.
Okay.
It's like an educated guess about which path is most likely to get you to the solution.
So you're not totally blind.
Right. It's like you have a little bit of knowledge about the maze.
Okay.
Maybe you hear a faint sound
Okay.
that hints at where the exit is.
I see.
That's what heuristics
So
is.
informed search is more strategic,
Exactly.
like having a plan instead of just blindly wandering.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you give us an example of an informed search algorithm?
Yeah, so one of the most famous ones is called a search.
A search, yeah.
Yeah, and it's really cool because it balances two things.
Okay.
So it looks at the cost of getting to a point
All right.
in the search tree,
Mm-hmm.
but it also combines that with an estimate of how close that point is to the actual solution.
Oh, okay.
And that's really important.
So it's not just about finding a path, it's about finding like the best path.
It's exact.
It's the most efficient.
Yeah, it's like a GPS navigation system.
Yeah.
But it not only knows the distance to your destination,
Yeah.
it also considers like traffic and stuff like that
Oh,
to
yeah.
find the fastest route.
Okay, so the AI is searching through all these possibilities,
Right.
but ultimately it needs to like choose the absolute best one.
Yes.
Is that where optimization comes in?
Exactly.
Okay.
Optimization is about refining the solution.
Got it.
So like imagine baking a cake.
Okay.
You might have a recipe.
Yeah.
But you can tweak things. You
Mhm.
can adjust the oven temperature and make it even better.
Right.
That's optimization.
Okay.
It's about fine-tuning
Okay.
to get the best possible outcome.
That makes sense. So how does AI actually go about optimizing a solution? What are some of the techniques?
One technique that's really common
Okay.
is called gradient descent.
Gradient descent.
Yeah, it's kind of like
Okay.
imagine a hiker
Okay.
trying to find the lowest point in a valley.
Right.
They keep taking steps downhill
Yeah.
until they reach the bottom.
Okay.
So in AI,
Yeah.
gradient descent is used to adjust what we call the weights of a model.
The weights.
Think of them like knobs that you can turn
Ah.
to find the best configuration.
So the AI is constantly like adjusting and learning
Yes,
based on the feedback it's getting.
exactly. It's constantly refining.
Okay.
And that's really at the heart of how AI models improve over time.
So all of this is fascinating.
Yeah.
But are these just abstract concepts, or do they have real-world applications?
Oh, no.
Like, I mean, where do we actually see search and optimization at work in our daily lives?
They're everywhere.
Really?
Yeah, like think about those robots. You see in Amazon warehouses, zipping around picking up packages.
Right.
They use search algorithms to plan their routes and make sure they don't run into things.
I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, or think about the navigation apps that we use every day on our phones.
Yeah.
They rely on search and optimization.
Really?
To calculate the best route, factoring in traffic, road closures, even tolls.
Wow.
It's really amazing how these things are working in the background, making our lives easier.
That is really incredible.
It is.
It's incredible how these like seemingly complex AI techniques are just like woven into our lives.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes you realize just how pervasive AI is becoming.
Absolutely.
But I have to ask, even though AI uses these complex techniques,
right,
is it ultimately trying to do what we do?
Yeah.
Which is solve problems effectively.
You got it. That's exactly what it's doing.
Wow.
And what's interesting is that by understanding how AI approaches problems, we can actually improve our own problem-solving skills.
Oh, wow.
It's like AI gives us a new lens to look at our own thought processes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back in just a minute.
For example, we humans tend to fall prey to this thing called like anchoring.
Anchoring.
Yeah, we get fixated on like the first piece of information we hear,
right,
even if it's not really relevant.
Okay.
And it kind of messes with our judgment.
Oh, so it's kind of like
yeah,
like if you go to buy a car and they tell you the price is $30,000.
Right.
And then they're like, "Oh, we can do 29."
Exactly. You're anchored to that initial price.
Oh, okay.
And AI algorithms are designed to avoid this kind of bias.
Okay.
They look at all the possibilities before making a decision.
So they're more objective.
Exactly.
So by understanding that we could maybe be less swayed by our first impressions?
That's the idea.
Oh,
AI can teach us to think more rationally.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Earlier you mentioned uninformed search techniques, like blindly wandering through a maze.
Yeah.
Are there specific algorithms that fall into that category?
Yeah, for sure.
Like what?
So there's two classic ones.
Okay.
Breadth first search, we call it BFS.
DFS.
And then there's depth first search, or DFS.
DFS, okay.
So imagine you're searching for a file on your computer.
Okay.
BFS would be like opening every single folder on your desktop.
Right.
Then going into each of those folders and opening every folder.
Wow. So it's
thorough.
It's very thorough, but probably pretty slow.
Yeah, it can be slow.
And DFS, is that more like going deep into one folder?
Exactly.
And then all of its subfolders before moving on?
You got DFS dives deep into one branch before backtracking.
So it's more like I'm going to go all the way down this rabbit hole before I come back up and try a different one.
Exactly. And it can be more efficient with memory,
okay,
but it might not always find the shortest path to the solution.
So BFS is like the meticulous librarian,
right,
checks every shelf.
Yeah.
DFS is like the explorer.
Yeah, I like that.
Venturing deep into uncharted territory.
Perfect analogy.
But as we talked about before, these uninformed techniques, they're not always the best.
Yeah, they have their limitations.
Especially with complex problems.
Exactly. They can be super inefficient when the search space is huge.
Which is why we need those smarter informed search algorithms.
All right.
You mentioned a search before.
Yes.
Can you unpack that a little bit more?
Yeah, so a search is amazing.
Okay.
Because it kind of combines the best of both worlds.
Okay.
It looks at the cost of the path it's taken so far.
Like an uninformed search.
Yeah, but it also has this estimate of the cost to reach the destination.
Oh, wow.
From where it is right now.
So it's looking ahead.
Exactly. That estimate is really important.
Okay.
Because it guides the search towards the most promising paths.
Oh, wow.
It avoids wasting time.
So it's like having a map that not only shows you the roads,
right,
but also tells you like, hey, this road's probably going to be less congested.
Exactly.
Because of traffic.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay.
And because A balances both the current cost and that estimated future cost,
right,
it often finds the best solution much faster.
That's awesome.
It is.
So we've covered search, both uninformed and informed.
Yeah.
What about optimization?
Okay.
You briefly mentioned gradient descent before. Right. But are there other optimization techniques that AI uses to fine-tune solutions?
There are tons of techniques out there.
Okay.
One that's used a lot is called simulated annealing.
Simulated annealing.
It's actually inspired by a process they use in metallurgy.
Okay.
You heat a metal and then slowly cool it down
to
make it stronger.
How does that apply to AI?
So imagine you're trying to find the highest peak
Okay.
in like a mountain range.
Right.
Simulated annealing starts by randomly jumping around to different peaks.
Okay.
And then as the temperature cools down,
Okay.
it becomes less likely to jump to lower peaks.
So it's focusing its search
Exactly.
around the highest ones it's found.
You got it.
So it starts broad
Right.
and then narrows its focus.
Exactly. It's good at avoiding getting stuck in what we call local optima.
Local optima.
Yeah, it's like a peak that looks like the highest.
Okay.
But there's actually an even higher peak somewhere else
I see.
that it might miss if it gets stuck.
So it helps it avoid those traps.
Exactly.
This reminds me of something I struggle with all the time.
Okay, what's that?
Packing for a trip.
Oh, yeah.
I always overpack. Like, I think I need everything,
Right.
and then I can't even close my suitcase.
I know the feeling.
Is there an AI technique that could make me a better packer?
That's a great example.
Yeah.
There's a whole category of optimization problems called knapsack problems.
Knapsack problem.
Yeah, and they're just like your packing dilemma.
Okay.
You have a limited capacity in your suitcase.
Right.
And you want to choose the most valuable item.
My clothes and shoes.
Exactly.
So AI could actually help me decide what to pack.
Absolutely. And AI could look at each item,
Okay.
see how valuable it is to you.
How much space it takes up,
Right.
and figure out the best combination.
So no more backaches from lugging around a heavy suitcase.
Right.
That's awesome.
And what's cool is, even though this seems like a simple task,
Yeah.
it illustrates a core principle of optimization,
Which is,
finding the best solution
okay,
within certain limitations.
like the size of my suitcase.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this principle is at the heart of lots of complex AI applications.
Really?
Yeah, things like scheduling flights or designing supply chains.
Wow. So I'm starting to see how understanding how AI solves problems can change how we approach things in our own lives.
Absolutely.
But before we go too far, thinking AI can solve everything,
Right.
are there limitations to these techniques?
That's a great question.
Can AI really solve any problem we throw at it? I mean, it seems like AI is really good at like well-defined problems,
Yeah.
with clear parameters,
Mm-hmm.
like finding the shortest route or packing a suitcase.
Right.
But what about problems that are more complex?
Like real-world issues
Yeah.
that involve human emotions,
Right.
ambiguity,
Mm-hmm.
ethical dilemmas.
Those are tough ones.
Can AI really handle those kinds of problems?
That's the big question.
Yeah.
AI has come a long way in problem solving,
Right.
but we got to be realistic about its limits.
Okay.
AI is great at tasks that can be broken down into steps.
Yeah.
Logical steps that can be solved with algorithms.
Mm-hmm.
But when you need nuanced judgment,
Yeah.
emotional intelligence, ethical considerations,
Right.
that's where AI is still developing.
So AI might be able to beat a chess grandmaster
right.
or optimize a delivery route,
Yeah.
but it's not going to replace a human judge.
Exactly. Or a therapist.
Yeah.
Human intelligence is still way ahead when it comes to understanding human interaction,
Right.
social cues. Yeah, those things that make us human.
And making judgments that involve morals and ethics.
Exactly. AI can process tons of data and
Yes.
find patterns,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't have empathy, intuition,
Yeah.
ethical reasoning,
Okay.
like we do.
And don't forget, AI systems learn from data
Right.
created by humans.
Yeah, which means they can pick up our biases
Oh, wow.
and sometimes even amplify them.
So that raises some big ethical questions
Absolutely.
about fairness,
Yeah.
accountability,
Mm-hmm.
and whether AI could make inequality worse.
That's a real concern.
So as amazing as AI is,
Yeah,
we need to be aware of its limitations
for sure.
and potential problems.
It's a powerful tool,
Right.
but we have to use it responsibly.
It's up to us to guide its development
Absolutely.
and make sure it's used ethically.
We have to have those conversations.
Yeah.
Not just computer scientists,
Right.
but everyone.
This deep dive has been incredible.
It has.
We've learned so much about search and optimization,
Yeah, we've seen how AI tackles problems.
and maybe even gotten some ideas on how we can improve our own problem solving.
Exactly. It's been a pleasure exploring this with you.
Likewise.
The world of AI is always changing.
It is.
It's a really exciting time.
It is. It's really cool to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of AI.
Thanks for having me.
We hope you've learned something new
Yeah.
and that you'll keep exploring and keep questioning.
Keep learning.
Until next time.